John McTiernan is known for directing multiple successful action movies in the 80s and 90s, including Predator, Die Hard, Die Hard with a Vengeance, The Hunt for the Red October, and The Thomas Crown Affair. So how did one of his movies land him in jail? Well, the film in question is the notorious 2002 flop, Rollerball. Rollerball is a remake of the 1975 film of the same name, starring James Caan. On paper, the Rollerball remake seemed like it could be a hit. In addition to having a director with a successful track record, it had a cast of then popular stars like Jean Reno, Rebecca Romijn, and LL Cool J, as well as cameos by Pink and Slipknot. Its plot revolved around extreme sports, which proved to be a financially successful genre for other films released that year, like Blue Crush and Triple X. This film, however, proved to be a colossal flop. Its failure can be blamed on the fact that it had hard-to-follow action sequences, a lack of familiarity with the source material for most audiences, and a miscast lead in Chris Klein. McTiernan's first choice for the lead role was Keanu Reeves, which shouldn't come as a surprise to those who have seen Klein's performance, as he looks and acts exactly like Reeves in the film.
Let's play the game.
Though unfortunately, he's a bit more Johnny Mnemonic than Johnny Utah.
I am an FBI agent!
What are you talking about?
In addition to this, the movie was just plain bad, with a dismal 3% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 3.4 on IMDb, earning it the number 37 spot in their bottom 100. Frequently after a flop, a director might be put in what's called movie jail, a figurative term for when none of the major studios want to work with you anymore. But this movie landed John McTiernan in literal prison for almost a year. The crime? Perjury, lying to an FBI investigator, and illegal wiretapping. So how does this relate to Rollerball? Well, the original script for Rollerball was written by David Campbell Wilson in the 90s. Set much further in the future and focusing more on socio-political commentary, it was by all accounts a quality script. It had one critic though, director John McTiernan, who thought the film should focus more on the spectacle of the sport with a style more akin to an MTV music video or a WWE match. McTiernan would go on to fight tooth and nail for his vision, going a bit overboard, which is eventually what led to his downfall. McTiernan was mainly at odds with Rollerball producer Charles Roven, another Hollywood veteran who had produced movies like 12 Monkeys, City of Angels, and Three Kings. Unlike McTiernan, Roven strongly supported the original script for the film. Perhaps in an effort to gain leverage on Roven and potentially have him removed from the production, McTiernan hired notorious Hollywood investigator Anthony Pellicano to look into Roven. Pellicano was known as a Hollywood fixer, often hired by industry elites to dig up dirt on one another. He would end up serving 15 years in federal prison for a laundry list of crimes. McTiernan paid Pellicano to investigate and illegally wiretap Roven, a federal crime. When questioned about this several years later, McTiernan lied to FBI investigators about his involvement. Despite support from friends and colleagues like Alec Baldwin and Samuel L. Jackson, McTiernan was ultimately charged with perjury and making false statements, which led to him paying a $100,000 fine and spending almost a year in prison. McTiernan would also go on to declare bankruptcy during his incarceration. So how did Rollerball turn out? Well, not good. McTiernan eventually got his way, and created a WWE-style action sports movie for the MTV generation. The film tested so poorly that the studio had to do reshoots, including this infamous chase scene, which was originally too dark to see, so was reshot in night vision, and contains possibly the worst sound effect in cinematic history. The movie was also re-edited in order to get a PG-13 rating, which included toning down the brutal rollerball sequences, recoloring blood to look like sweat, and digitally covering up Rebecca Romijn during a nude scene. TV ads for the film claimed that it was from, quote, the people who brought you the Fast and the Furious, which Universal successfully sued MGM over, leading to the removal of the phrase. It would go on to gross $25 million worldwide on a budget of $70 million. Rollerball would mark the last lead role in a wide-release film for star Chris Klein, and the second-to-last directing gig for John McTiernan, who hasn't made a movie since 2003's Basic, though he is rumored to be in pre-production on a new sci-fi movie, which may debut as early as next year.